Margot says, any tips for reading art? I mean, like finding its meaning and intention. I feel like I'm terrible at seeing such things and react to art from almost a purely instinctual place based on aesthetics. So Margot, yeah, I think just looking at art instinctively and like solely on aesthetics can be, yeah, it can kind of suck and kind of harm your understanding of art, unless that's what you want to do. But personally, it's not something I like. I think if you want to find meaning and intention, I think it's important just to know the context of the artwork, and to, if you look at something and it looks interesting, you know, you're like, all right, this is supposed to mean something. Like, for example, Hopper's last painting, right? Here, maybe aesthetically you can appreciate it, right? There's two characters getting out of the dark. There's like, you know, some compositional elements on the bottom, on the top. This is actually a cropped version of the painting. Okay, this is the real painting. Compositional elements, bottom, top, and all that, and they're framed. Okay, all of that, good. But there's more to this. There has to be more to this. What does this mean? You can look at the title. It's called Two Comedians. All right, you don't really have any information about that. Who is it made by? Hopper. Then by doing research, yeah, it was Hopper's last painting. And then you can kind of deduce many things from this being his last painting. You can compare it to other paintings that he's done throughout his career. I know it's a lot of work, but a lot of people have done this work already. There's a video about this artwork, by the way. Pretty good video. But there's articles about different artworks as well, which will present you different paintings. It's hard work, but that's what makes it worth it, right? That's what makes it so fulfilling. So here, all right, you compare it to other paintings, maybe of clowns, maybe of stages, of theaters. You look into the artist, all right, this guy's with a woman. It's a last painting. Could this be a self-portrait? Is this, you know, if this is a woman, does he have a wife? Was his wife very often involved in his artistic career? Yes, he was. Okay, that's cool. And then you know, and sometimes you'll look into a painting and there's nothing. There's nothing. There can't be something to every painting. It can't be always super great. Sometimes I want to make a video about a painting that looks really cool, and then it's like, this is a scene that the artist wanted to paint. Period. Fun fact, my next video, you know Lucian Freud, right? And Lucian Freud in 2008 broke the record of the painting that sold for the highest amount for a living artist. And one of his paintings, well, that painting that sold for the highest amount is this one. This in 2008 was the painting that was sold for the highest ever price by a living artist. And I'm still going to make a video about Lucian Freud and his nudes, and this nude in particular, but in my head, this is about subverting the beauty standards. It's about subverting the traditional nude. It's about perhaps even normalizing certain body types that have not been normalized in media, right? Blah, 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 blah. And I got lucky enough to interview the lady who's here. I did that interview before yesterday. I interviewed, her name is Sue Tilley, wonderful woman. I will put the full conversation on Germinal once the video is out, and I will put some segments of my interview with her in the video. It was a great conversation to have, but there was nothing. I imagined so much intentions, but there wasn't any. When I asked her, all right, was there like the whole idea of like subverting traditional body image, blah, 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 blah. She's like, no, he just wanted to paint me. Actually, they had a common friend. The common friend convinced him to paint her, and he convinced her to get painted by him. Nothing to do with her weight, nothing to do with how she looks. It's just, yeah, we just painted. He just painted me. And that's it. At first, I was kind of disappointed. You know, it's like, oh, so it's just, they painted you to paint you. Okay. But then I was like, and she's like, yeah, it's disappointing. Eh? You're expecting like a bigger narrative. And like, not necessarily. I think sometimes through art history, through art analysis, sometimes the whole work that usually you would attribute to artists to like explain, to give meaning to a painting, sometimes rely on the people who look at that painting themselves. If a painting is striking and there's definitely something to be said about it, but the artist isn't saying anything about it, then it falls back on you to give a meaning, right? And to analyze it in a way that gives it meaning. And I think that's what I want to do in my video. Even though she herself says, yeah, we just did it to do it. Leary Rotting has a first-time chat. Hello, Leary. Says, have you read the comment on the Hopper video that argued against interpreting art? Do you think that something is lost in interpretations? Huh. No, I haven't watched it. My latest video on... there's 108 comments. I don't know if... Yeah, I'm not going to be able to find that comment, I think. You said it's argued against interpreting art. Oh. Well, there you go. The second to last comment. I just do not agree with interpreting a painting, and most certainly not by people that all allegedly studied art. In art, there are there should not be any experts, which is also one of the reasons why critique mostly sounds grotesque. Here you have folks that studied folk whom lived their art, many a time dying in poverty. The discrepancy between speaker and object is way, way, way too big to give close to an understanding. It has preciously little to do with the artist, author, actor, you name it. I am strongly in favor of never ever talking about art other than amongst friends in a light-hearted manner. Not matter how much we delve into the life of the subject, we will never get goose, and we will never understand the meaning behind their work. Forget about studying art, live art. And last but not least, find a smidgen of respect and kindness. Out of respect and kindness for this person, I kind of feel like not answering, because it might be like this person probably ça va pas bien, no? Ça va pas bien, as we say in French. It means it's not going well. I want to see what people have answered, and they've answered that. Oh my God, there's some drama in my comment section on Canada's. Okay, living art in silence is tantamount to living in prison, and sharing a prison cell with a friend and only ever talk in light-hearted manner is a self-imposed prison within a prison. Does a person live fully if they do not talk freely amongst all people? Does a price of art exist if it is only found in the solitary confinement? Does an idea exist if it doesn't move from person to person? Is a person human if they see no other human, never talk to other humans? You ignore the art of interpretation, the beauty of differing readings, and the life of art outside of itself, where through each viewer it extends itself and is transformed to another of its potentials. This is beautiful. I completely agree with that. This way, great works of art can live again, beyond time or place or viewers' mind prisons. Why do you think so many artists talk publicly about other art? Why do so many artists give interpretations of the works of their friends? How do you think artists talk among themselves? How do you think artists lived? We talk about art and how we experience it because we talk about everything and how we experience it. A life lived and unexpressed, life lived and unexamined is a life with a missing portion, the part of us that lives in others. Find respect and empathy for differing approaches. Try to see why others engage with art differently and how they think about art, how they approach their experience. Do not limit how people live art, and that should apply to yourself most of all. That's really... Lily, is that you? Or are you Degalin, Leary, I mean, sorry. Or Leary, are you still in chat? Are you Boreal Marinda? Because that was really good. Okay, let's watch this. Rembrandt died in poverty, Baudelaire died in poverty, Rimbaud died in poverty. Folk have plenty to say about them now, but when they lived, not so much. Listen, people should talk about whatever they please. I'm just saying that their subject matter can never be known, no matter how thick the biographies or how long the biopics. Famous story about a question in an exam of a Dutch writer, Jan Wolkers, what the author had meant with what he wrote. When the question was put to the author himself, he said he was clueless about what he had to convey. We can interpret all we want, but it has little to nothing to do with the subject, and many times is borderline disrespectful. This, I would have to recommend to this person, Death of the Author. This idea that the meaning of art only relies on the person who made the art themselves, I think it's kind of outdated. I think it's important, but I think it's not the only kind of way that you can live and experience art. I think creating I think art has always, first of all, okay, first and foremost, I think art has always bounced off of itself through different artists, through different scenes. You will see like a line of influence through art history that can be hundreds of paintings long. This painting was influenced by this painting, which was influenced by this painting, which was influenced by this painting. And all of these are conversations. And this influence by other paintings can also be an interpretation of these paintings. Right? If I make a video, if I make a painting of, I don't know, the Temptation of St. Anthony, I'm standing upon dozens, if not hundreds, of paintings made of the Temptation of St. Anthony all throughout art history. And even though I haven't seen them, they still influence my production of the Temptation of St. Anthony, because they've influenced the paintings that I've seen that influence me. So there's always this conversation and this reinterpretation of prior works of art through art. I believe that art interpretation or reinterpretation can be done pictorially, as you do when you paint a painting that's influenced by others, and yeah, try to make a painting that's not influenced by prior paintings. But I think art interpretation, like a written painting, or a written interpretation of a painting, is very similar to that. I think it's reinterpreting a work of art. I mean, it's not the first time I get these kinds of messages, right? Who are you to tell me what this means? Or Gatsby is Dead says, double flannel drip, I like it. Listen, it's always the double flannel drip. Always. It's never changed. Look, I have some pants here. So one on my shoulder. Yeah, whatever. Motherfuckers are always like, all right, who are you to decide what this painting means? And it's like, I'm not deciding what this means. I'm not saying what it means. I'm saying what I believe it means, what it means to me. And hopefully you use that yourself as a way to maybe base what it means to you, right? You can disagree with me, please do. And maybe you can create your own interpretation from mine. Please do. That's amazing. I think that's what art to me means. It's that engagement. It's that sharing, right? It's us interacting with each other through the interpretation of an artwork that's meaningful to both of us, but maybe meaningful in a different way. And I think that different way in which it can be meaningful can be even more valuable, because it creates conversations. It creates ways in which we can interact with each other, instead of, in ways that we can interact with each other meaningfully, share our experiences, our interpretation of a thing, and understand why I see it differently than you do. I think that's important. And if you go here, I'm strongly in favor of never ever talking about art other than amongst friends in a light-hearted manner. But that sucks, dude. I think this contributes to kind of the whole idea that art is personal. It contributes to the whole idea that the appreciation of art is really personal and is deeply individualistic. And it creates this kind of situation in which people engage with art very, like, alone, without the input or without the interaction with other people, which creates very often shallow understanding and interpretations of art, because you can't push them through other people. You need to push your interpretation and your understanding of artworks through other people. There will be things that you don't see that other people see. Does that mean that these things are necessary and crucial to understand, or to see, to understand the painting? No, not necessarily. But at least you'll be able to be aware of these things that you've missed out, and to, reject them from your interpretation consciously. Maybe to some people, for this painting, the grass here, or whatever this is really important to them, right? Am I going to say that they're wrong for this to, for this to be important in the painting? They can make the case that it's important, and we can have a discussion on it, and god damn it, will be meaningful, and god damn it, will I grow from it, and will they grow from it, and will our appreciation for this artwork grow from that? Perhaps I'll leave the conversation saying, yeah, it's still very far from being important to the painting. But you know what? At least I'll be able to look at this painting and understand why it's important for other people, and understand why I'm rejecting it and not actually considering it as an important part of the painting. Please discuss paintings. Please debate paintings. Movies as well. Any art. You're right, Larry, to go through the comments and see what it means to them, right? I call it heartbreaking And some people said, no, it's heartwarming. And you know what? They're right. I was wrong about my interpretation, or at least calling it heartbreaking. It's not heartbreaking, it's heartwarming. In my head, it's like heartbreaking because it's the death of someone and like they're saying goodbye together. But people are like, no, this is not heartbreaking. It's not like a tragedy. It's actually almost like a celebration of their love, a celebration of their life. People disagreed with my take on it being heartbreaking. And you know what? I grew from that. It's true. It's heartwarming. Not everything needs to be heartbreaking. Death is not necessarily heartbreaking. In this case, it's the end of a career, but it's not sad. It's great. And that I would have never understood that, or at least came to that conclusion, or never grown my interpretation of that painting if I hadn't read the comments, and if the comments hadn't disagreed with me, if we hadn't had this conversation. Yeah, Sweet Knox says, exactly. I love art so much because it's a way to connect with others and learn about different perspectives. Exactly, and different people's sensibilities will be reflected in their interpretation of art. I think, and it's a video I want to do, and I've been wanting to do for a long time, and I've mentioned how I wanted to make it on YouTube, on the stream, is I want to make a video on how interpreting artworks is in itself like a form of art. Not only because art is art through contextualization, and you can bring contextualization and different contextualizations through interpretation, but also because interpreting is a way of giving meaning to something. And I think art is about that, right? Interpreting this artwork is art as much as this artwork in itself.